So the other day, my friend gave me a bunch of makeup samples, and I wanted to try them this morning. I wanted to be pretty. So I tried this lipstick, and I am very bad at lipstick, and also I looked like a clown. So I tried to remove it, and now the whole bottom half of my face is stained. So if you feel the urge to notice that, please do not notice that. Fancy meeting you here. My name is Brittany, and this channel documents my life with multiple chronic illnesses, both mental and physical. I'm so glad that you stopped by my video today. At the end, I would appreciate if you left a thumb in whichever direction suits your fancy. If up is your preference, I think it would also be a good idea if you chose to subscribe to my channel, and then you could see more videos in the future just like this one. I've recently been thinking about a lot of things that able-bodied people say to those with a chronic illness or disability, particularly things that I have heard said to me. And I thought I would compile a list of things that you should never say to a chronically ill person. Please do not try to compare somebody to another person or their illness to another illness, and please also don't try to one-up that person. For example, recently I was telling somebody how they asked how I was feeling, and I was not in the mood to act and lie about it. So I said, you know, I've been very sad recently. My meds aren't working that well, and it's just kind of hard. And she decided to say, oh, try doing that in this current situation that I'm in. And I was like, that just completely invalidated what I was feeling. Why would you ask me how I'm doing if you're just gonna respond that way? Made me feel like my struggles are not worthwhile. That was kind of mean. And when you compare maybe yourself to this person or somebody else you know with a chronic illness to the person you're talking to with a chronic illness, comparison always invalidates someone. So the person you're talking to could feel invalidated because you're saying, oh, well, your illness isn't as bad as this other person that I know. And then they feel like, oh, well, maybe I'm just being dramatic and I don't really deserve to feel this way about it. Or say you're comparing somebody else to the person you're talking to in a sense that, oh, this other person isn't quite as bad as your situation, so you're so strong, or, you know, whatever, however that would come up. Then it invalidates the other person, saying that their struggles are not worthy of your attention, or, you know, it just always invalidates someone. So don't do it. Number 2 is saying things like, you just need to try harder, or in some instances, you need to pray more, or mind over matter. A lot of people say mind over matter as if it's my own fault for feeling this way, like I'm not doing something right. So don't try to place the blame on that person who has the illness or the disability. It's not their fault. They didn't choose this life or to have all these limitations. So don't say things that make it feel like you think it's their fault. It's not. Another thing that I have seen said a lot to chronically ill people is, you're still sick? Yes. The illness is chronic. That means it goes on, at least for a while, if not the rest of my life. So I will never not be sick. I also hear kind of going with this, get well soon. And I know that's another one that's well-intentioned, but like, you say that to me and I just think, thanks, I will not do that. I cannot control that. I know I will not get well soon. I know sometimes people may say, I hope you feel better soon, which kind of works, because like if I'm in the middle of a flare and I just feel like absolute garbage, like I can't walk without my walker, or, you know, like I'm just shaky, or just things aren't going well in the middle of a flare, and then they say, I hope you feel better soon, that can kind of work, because I mean, I'm never going to be better, like all the way better, but like I feel like they might mean, I hope your flare ends soon and your symptoms subside a little bit. So that can help, but don't say get well soon. I will not do that. I will never do that. So, moving on. This is one that I get a lot from doctors, which is kind of horrible in my opinion. Doctors shouldn't say things like this, but I'll tell them, this is what I'm feeling, and they say, you don't look that sick to me. And I'm like, what does sick look like? This is sick. I feel this way. I am sick. This must be what it looks like. So, like, what does sick look like to you? I don't understand. And it just kind of invalidates, like, oh, you don't look it, so you must be faking. Or another one that I get a lot from doctors, like, if I come in without a mobility aid for that appointment and I mention, oh yeah, I'm usually on a cane, or sometimes I need to use a walker. At certain situations, I even have a wheelchair. And they're like, you're too young to be using a cane or a walker. And I'm like, I know, it's very embarrassing. I understand that I look too young to use these things. That doesn't mean I don't need them. I still use them. Here's one that really irks me, so I'm going to try to say it without being sassy. But this one really bothers me. Please don't invite me and my family on a fun outing with you and a group of friends or something. And then when I get back to you and say, oh, my husband can't come, but I'll be able to make it, you then uninvite me because you think I need my husband there to take care of me? That's real offensive. I'm sorry, that's rude. So there have been moments or like periods of time in my life where I did need my husband with me 24/7 because my symptoms were just so severe and he was there to help me manage my illness. But like when those periods of my life happen, I promise you that I am very aware of it, and I will automatically work that into the plans I make. So I would say, oh, he can't make it, so we cannot come. But if I get back to you and say, he can't make it, but I can make it, that means this is not one of those times. I can go out without him. I don't need him by my side at all times. So for you to uninvite me then, it's like you are deciding what I need to manage my illness, which you probably know nothing about, honestly. So please don't do that. It makes me cry. Another one I get a lot is I will say, you know, these are the symptoms I'm experiencing. It's kind of hard and I'm working through it as best I can. And they're like, oh, I know exactly how you feel because I had the flu or food poisoning, or I've had this thing that really doesn't relate to your illness at all. So I know exactly how you feel. Wrong. You do not know exactly how this feels. I can say that some symptoms may be similar to the flu or food poisoning, but that you do not know exactly how I feel. Because you, when you have the flu, you just have the flu, and you know it will go away in a few days, a few weeks, you know? But I have like the flu and food poisoning and this random weakness and all of these things. I don't just have what you experienced, and I never know when it's going to end. Suffering like this in perpetuity, you feel different. It's not just like the flu. So I understand that you might be trying to make me feel better, like, oh yeah, I understand that's like, I know what this feels like, but it really doesn't help. It just feels like you're minimizing what I'm feeling and saying it's not that bad because I've dealt with it before, so get over it, you know? This next one really doesn't happen to me as much anymore, but when I was first experiencing symptoms, I would get a lot of unsolicited advice, or like, oh, have you tried yoga? A lot of people say yoga. Like, have you tried this? Or, you know, these vitamins, or this other diet that is very, what word do I want? High maintenance? Like, just unsolicited advice in general. Like, oh, I've heard about the symptoms you're having, and my dad's brother's cousin's hamster's sister has also had this, and this is what worked for them, so that's it. You need to try this, and you'll be cured. If I am experiencing this for a year plus, I probably have tried all the things you're going to mention. Also, if this other individual that you know has the same thing as me, it's really not the same thing as me. It could be the same diagnosis, but the symptoms vary so much from person to person. So you saying this helped them, there's your cure, I fixed it, no. I mean, maybe I could try it, but honestly, it's just, again, I understand the good intentions, but also, again, don't do that. My last thing to not say to somebody with a chronic illness or disability is, oh, just take Tylenol, Advil. I remember kind of in the beginning of my illness, I posted a picture on Facebook where I had a huge bruise right here because I had just gotten a cortisone shot to help with the pain in my arm, and it just made this really nasty bruise, and I thought it was funny, so I shared it on Facebook. And some people said, oh, just take Tylenol. Why didn't you just take Tylenol? And I'm just like, you think I didn't think of that first? Like, I'm not just gonna jump into this expensive treatment that I'm probably gonna have to pay for out of pocket because insurance sucks. I'm not gonna jump to that if I could just go to my cupboard and take some Tylenol. I obviously already tried the Tylenol and it didn't help. That's why I progressed into what I have tried now. So don't assume that I'm not doing simple things first. That one really made me mad. To end up, I want to say a couple things that you should say instead, things that would help. First, you could say, man, that sounds really hard, or I'm sorry you're going through this, or, you know, anything that shows that you believe me. Because a lot of people, they make you feel like you need to prove your illness, like, oh, you look fine, so obviously you're faking it, or it's all in your head, or, you know, it's not real. So they make me feel like I have to prove how horrible I feel. So anything that you can say that makes me feel like you believe me is already just so helpful. Another one that I really, really appreciate when people say is, what can I do to help you? So I have one really good friend who, she'll ask me how I'm doing, and I'll say, man, today the pain is just unbelievable, or like I can barely walk, or I can't keep any food down, or, you know, I'll tell her something that sucks, and she's like, oh man, do you need anything? I'm stopping by the store. Can I grab you anything? Or do you want to hang out and see if that will make you feel better? Or, you know, she always just asks, like, what can I do to help you? Like, I know this sucks for you. Let me alleviate that burden somehow. That is, like, so helpful. So if you can in some way help your chronically ill friend, that is a good thing to do. Well, I hope you maybe learned something from this video. If you yourself are chronically ill and you have some friends that you want to show this to, feel free. Again, a thumb either way, I will appreciate. And if you would like to subscribe, go ahead and do that. Sounds good. I will see you next week with another video. Toodles!